Hello everyone, it's Jerry here, and we're going to talk about a subject that all of us in real estate have to overcome. And this is a little funny, but it's called feeding the alligators. It's just another way of ensuring the income stream of your property is not interrupted. The alligators in this case, of course, are your cost of keeping and maintaining the property. Let's assume rental income is all the income you have. You need to think of it that way. Otherwise, you may not take it seriously when the income stream is interrupted. Besides, you don't want to work for somebody else all your life, do you? So think of rental income stream as your only income and treat it as such. The number one interruption to your income is vacancies. In a word, you can't afford them. I don't care how much money you have to back up or bail you out. You may have another job somewhere. You probably do. You can't afford vacancies. When a property is vacant, you're losing more than rental income. You're losing on the mortgage payment, including principal and interest, utilities, taxes, insurance, maintenance, and all the fixed costs that continue with property ownership. You're still paying these bills, but there's no one like a rent-paying tenant to help you pay for these costs. Remember, that's why you got in the rental properties in the first place. The tenant pays all these bills while you reap the benefits of property ownership, such as appreciation of property value, generating cash flow, collecting appreciating real assets to boost your net worth year after year, tax write-offs against your other earned income in the form of depreciation, and being your own boss. Like if you got income from somewhere else, you're going to be able to tax shelter that income. You just can't do this if your property is vacant. Okay, now that I have your attention, you may ask, what's the best way to avoid vacancies? Best way I know is that you must know as soon as possible if you're going to have a vacancy. If you maintain a good relationship with your tenants, there could be a hint that something is about to change when, number one, the tenant starts to complain, for instance, they need another bedroom. Number two, the house is okay when they moved in, but is too small for us now. You get a phone call from a real estate agent, property manager, or individual property owner asking questions about credit and other personal questions about the tenant. Usually number three is preceded by number one and number two. I don't think I've ever had a call like number three that ever surprised me. If you get a call like number three from a landlord, contact the tenants and find out when they plan to move out. Most tenants do not plan more than 2 weeks in advance, so you could be looking at a vacancy in 2 weeks' time. Don't panic, but you still need to assess what repairs or painting might need to be done as soon as possible. You need to make a quick walk-through inspection to determine this. If the tenants have taken very good care of the property, you may be able to have new people move in as they move out. This is the very best scenario you could hope for. Give the present tenants every indication to expect a full deposit refund if they leave the property in tip-top shape. This will save you time and money in the long run. If the opposite is true, which usually happened to me, tenants didn't take very good care of the property and the interior repainting is necessary before it can be rented again, then you can plan on some downtime at the least to get this property done. If the property has really gone downhill, expect even more time to get things repaired. Try to do the interior work first, then move to the outside work so that new tenants could start moving in as soon as possible. If you happen to be located in a very tight rental market, most tenants don't mind if you work around them with your repair work. They are just glad to have found your place before somebody else beat them to it. If you happen to be in a soft rental market, you may have time to complete all repairs before any tenants are interested in renting the property. Personally, I always try to rent a property, although it wasn't quite ready to be occupied immediately. I would be over at the property painting or repairing something, and the prospective tenants would come by and look at the property and ask questions and so on. There's always some lag time between when a tenant starts looking to when they actually have the funds and are ready to move in. I spent a lot of weekends doing this in the early days and enjoyed meeting and visiting with people. Very likely you will get a few applications filled out this way and possibly have the property occupied as soon as you complete the repairs. Another course of action I do not agree with is waiting till the property is completely turnkey and then start advertising it for rent. There's just too much delay from when the tenants start looking until they are ready to actually pay up to lease the property. You can expect to lose at least 2 weeks rent or more if you try this method. Many property owners would rather do this. They don't like prospective tenants to bother them or their hired workers when they're over there getting the house ready. Personally, you have to ask what's more important, a little inconvenience or restarting the income stream as soon as possible. Remember, the alligators, the cost must be fed. If a tenant indicates he or she may have to move unless a certain task like replacing the floor covering is not accomplished, I would take that threat seriously if you want to keep the particular tenant. Usually tenants will not move out over what seems a trivial item, but is sometimes a combination of reasons. Try to speak to the tenant and listen carefully and try to determine exactly what they want. When you do the required work, try to do a little extra, like repainting the bathroom or kitchen as a bonus. Why should you follow through on this work? Because losing a good tenant is one of the worst things that can happen to you. If the tenant's requests are within your power to fulfill, then you need to think about doing them. If the requests are very costly, such as 2 or 3 times the monthly rent or more, ask them if they would sign a new lease whereby the rent would be increased to pay for the improvement. I've done this and tenants were thrilled to get what they wanted and signed a new lease. The beauty part about it is this: the tenants get what they want, you get the tenant to pay for it. Eventually, over the course of a year or less, their increased rent is still going on long after the improvement is paid for, and if they move out, you probably will not have to improve that particular item to get ready for the next tenants. There's some areas that you can't do much about, like next door neighbors got barking dogs that bother them and the kids, or kids drive down the street too fast. Explain to them that they need to call the local police or file a complaint with them. You can't solve all the neighborhood's problems for your tenant. In these areas, the tenant is a citizen and they have the right to complain to the local authorities just like any homeowner can do. It doesn't matter what class of neighborhood you live in. These 2 examples I've just given can exist in any neighborhoods. I remember I had a friend that lived in an upscale neighborhood, and he had neighbors next door with 2 or 3 barking dogs out in the back all the time. They had to shut their windows and wear earplugs and put noise generators in the bedroom to drown it out. He wasn't going to move, so that's just what you get into sometimes. Just be sure and explain this to the tenant. It's just life. Moving out for these reasons probably won't make them happy. There will be other annoyances to take their place, even if it's not the same ones, wherever they move. Okay, well, that's all I got today. Thanks for coming back. Bye.